When an agency wants to provide pay-per-click management services, one of the choices you may be faced with is whether to do it in-house or whether to hire a white label provider. And there's a difference between those two relationships. Again, there's no right or wrong. It depends on your management style, your business, your growth, and your experience and your aspirations. But let's have a look at some of the differences between those two relationships. So let's start with in-house first of all. If you're going in-house, the first thing you've got to do is recruit or train. It may be you're training an internal team member, in which case there's a training cost, there is a training time involved, and there is an experience process as they go from being new to being fully experienced. You would want to think about that from a perspective of what level does that person need to be at before they are providing a service to a standard I can let in front of my clients. And that might be immediate or it might be several months down the track. That timeline you need to think about. If you're recruiting, then clearly there is a recruitment cost, either in financial terms for recruitment ads or agencies, or just in terms of the time and effort that has to go into interviewing and hiring and onboarding that member of staff. Now, that can be quite a difficult thing to do because if you're not a PPC expert yourself, conducting a really good interview to identify who is good is really hard because you don't know if an answer is a good answer or not. So bear that in mind that if you're going to recruit, it's a hard thing to do. You need the experience. You may call on external third parties to vet the candidates that you're getting and vet the answers that they're providing so you know who is a good fit and who isn't. Also, when you're going in-house, one thing you'll find often happens is, particularly on day one, you might not have enough work for that one person to work on their PPC management full time. So you end up with multitasking, doing multiple roles in the business. And as that grows, that can get really difficult to management. It might be that they are doing sales or client relationships or something else. And there is a bit of a push and a pull and a tension between the amount of time that goes on the account management to get the best results and the amount of time that's actually going into other activities. So expect that to be the case as you scale. You'll also find when you're doing in-house, you're going to need a set of tools. You're going to need to buy a reporting tool for your clients. You're going to need a call tracking tool. You're going to need a management tool, possibly even pre-sales tools to help you build the best client experience. All of those come with a cost. You may want to evaluate several. So by hiring, you internalize all those costs. You can control them, but you don't necessarily get economies of scale. Another piece when you hire internally is that you have essentially a couple of challenges to think about. Number one is that you only get perspective of one individual when you first start out. As you scale your team, you can get multiple, but you'll only get a very small number of perspectives on how an account should be built, how it should be run, what good looks like. And whenever you've got one perspective, it's really hard as a manager or a business owner to know if that one is good or not because you haven't got a comparison. The other thing that you need to think about is things like holidays and sickness and absence. What do you do when that person is out sick or they're on vacation or they have a technical issue or a family emergency? How do you handle that so that your client's service can continue? But the big upside to having it in-house is you have total control. You have that person at a desk potentially in an office. You control on a day by day, hour by hour, minute by minute basis what their priorities are. You get to say what they work on. And that's a big advantage because you have that total control and flexibility. So that's some of the things to think about when you bring somebody in-house. If you compare that to white label is very different. You don't have the same degree of control, but instead you have a service level. So you know what you can expect and when you can expect it from your white label service provider. It might not be immediate. If immediate is important, it might not be quick enough. But it will be consistent and it will be done to a good standard, because a white label service provider will have many clients. They can provide you a level of perspective and expertise that you might not be able to buy internally, and they will know what good looks like. Of course, that team will be scalable and built out, so you don't need to worry about things like recruitment or holidays or absence. You should just be able to keep giving clients, and they will scale with your business without any problem whatsoever. You should also find they come fully equipped with every tool that they need. You wouldn't expect to be paying additional costs for additional services because your white label provider will take care of it. And obviously their cost is variable. One of the big things that you need to consider is, with a full-time employee, you've got a salary cost regardless of the budget, or regardless of how many clients you've got. With a white label service provider, you've got variability in costs. So as your client base goes up, your costs go up. As they come down, your costs come down accordingly. So your margin is always protected. And think about that as you're making a decision. So with all of those things, it's first of all fundamentally a decision of which is the best route for me as a business. Do I want employees with the challenges that brings, but the control that it brings? Or do I want the scalability and flexibility of a white label service provider, but recognising the fact that I can't micromanage them on every minute basis? If you're happy with the trade-off, choose the path that's best for your business, and it will serve you well.